Jury selection is set to begin tomorrow for 21-year-old Tremaine Veal of Alexandria. Veal is charged with second-degree murder in connection to the January 11th, 2022 deadly shooting of 27-year-old Devin Brooks of Ball. Brooks's body was found on the edge of the Red River in Alexandria. Police said he had been shot in the head and his body was bound with cables, zip ties, and gorilla tape. He had been reported as a possible kidnapping victim to the Ball Police Department 2 days before his body was found. Two others have been convicted of second-degree murder in connection with the case, Jamaria Randall and her husband, Terrence Lavallee. Veal is Randall's cousin. Now, according to prosecutors, Randall, who was once in a brief relationship with Brooks, hatched a plot involving the other two to rob Brooks. That plot evolved into the trio taking Brooks to the levee where he was bound, shot, and thrown down the levee. Veal faces a life sentence. Now, this case is being prosecuted by Assistant DA Lee Hall, and Veal is represented by Philip Robinson. Judge Greg Beard is presiding.